Mads-palsvig, with the election of Donald Trump in the United States as the new president, what does this mean for relations with the rest of the world and Russia especially? And what do we make of a man who claims to be the man of the people and yet is a guy who was being funded by a billionaire casino mogul, Sheldon-Adelson, who's a known Rothschild Zionist, and we know that Donald himself is a supporter of Israel.
Okay, well, I think that if you listen to what Trump has said, I mean, I think that it's almost like as if there are two persons, right? There's the person in the beginning of the election where he was kind of on a mission to offend anybody and everybody. And then it was as if there's a changed man the last couple of months before the election, where apart from his environmental policies, which, I mean, we are obviously, a lot of us in Denmark are opposed to fracking and destroying the nature and so on. But so that's the only thing. But everything else seems very, very sensible, what he's saying. Mm-hmm. So all that is like he's changed, and that's weird. And then relations with other nations, he was commenting about the situation in Syria, in Libya, and in Iraq, and clearly very, very much opposed to Libya. And he says about Iraq that Saddam Hussein was a bad boy, but he was at least killing terrorists, as he says. And now it's a breeding ground for terrorists. So he's very much opposed to the this interventional policy for the last 15 years that has been taking place. So I think that's a good sign for us people who want to have peace, I think. Mm-hmm. He also says he does not want to change Assad, because look at Libya, look what happened there. You got rid of Gaddafi, and it's just a total meltdown now over there. So I think that is also good news for the world. And then I believe Vladamir-Putin was the first to congratulate Trump with his election victory, and I think also Putin was the first that he contacted after his surprising win. Also Michael Farage, who is heading up the Brexit movement, who managed to help the English nation to vote to get out of EU. They're also working very closely together. So I think all that is also good for peace. And also his comments about he wants all the other nations to pay for NATO. He wants that each country increases their membership contributions to 2% of GDP. And I think that's a smart way of saying, do we really need it? I mean, come on. I mean, NATO was created to kind of oppose Stalin, because Stalin got out of control. They couldn't, control him, and they wanted to maybe possibly also make some money out of having an enemy. So do we really need NATO, and are we really getting more secure in Europe by having NATO around the borders of Russia, provoking them? Personally, I don't think so. And also, if he increases the membership fees or to 2% of GDP, there might be a lot of countries who says, we normally only spend 0.5% or 1% of GDP, and politically we don't want to spend 2%. Maybe we should leave NATO. And there has been precedents. I believe France left NATO, and other countries could do that as well. And maybe there could be a new world where Russia and America could find together. I mean, really, my wife is Russian. I've been in Russia twice this year, and they love the West. They love America. You have American products everywhere. People love to speak English. If anybody speaking any kind of English would rather speak English with you than listen to my broken Russian. But so I think there certainly would be very popular in Russia to have a lasting peace with America. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, seemingly, I suppose with any of these candidates anymore, there's going to be parts of them that are seemingly pointed in the right direction in terms of world peace, and but then there seems to be like two sides to them, right? Like this, like you had mentioned, the beginning of Trump's campaign compared to the end of Trump's campaign. You know, he kind of quit so much the audacious remarks, you know, the smashing of the political correctness in this country. And then there's also like this, you know, Trump who seemingly is in favor of peace with Russia, but then also, like I, you know, started this off with, you know, who are his connections with, you know, is he still in favor of violence to keep perpetuating in Israel and in Palestine? You know, I guess time will tell. You know, who is he answering to the globalists, or is he beating to his own drum? I mean, who knows? He doesn't have the political history that, you know, Hillary has. So Hillary has a track record that's so easy to identify, where she has, you know, basically said one thing and done another, you know, a whole career of it. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see with Donald whether, you know, who he's answering to.
I think that is true. And the way I look at politicians is I look at two things. I look at what they say, and I look at what they do. And if I like both, then I support them. If I don't like one of the two, I don't support them. And with Trump, we only know what he says, because he will not be president until the 21st of January. And I would like to talk about that as well. But he has, quite unusually, in my view, he has made a pledge to the American people for the first 100 days of what he wants to do. And it's quite impressive. He wants to stop the TIP, all the NAFTA and all these international trade deals, which is something that is very anti-establishment and very anti-globalist and anti-one world dictatorship, which I believe that the banksters want. I'm very, 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 very convinced that Hillary Clinton was a proponent for a one world global government where you had the ultra-left Bolshevik people in the bureaucracy working together with the neoconservative ultra-right-wing the owners of the multinational corporations and the pharmaceutical corporations and the military-industrial complex and the oil companies and the privately owned central banks. So you have this very, very difficult for most people to understand, but this unity and amalgamation of far left and far right. And she is definitely a proponent for that. And then if you look into history and how history has a tendency to repeat itself, banksters have started all wars, and she is kind of the leading supporter of the big investment banks. So it would have been very scary had she won in terms of world peace. I think she would have led the world straight into maybe even World War III. Yeah, very, very, very nervous about her.
Absolutely.
So my what I want to say was that why don't we do what everybody deserves? Everybody deserves a chance, and especially if you have public support and you've just been elected president by the American people, then let's respect that democratic decision. And now he's been so kind to say what he wants to do the first 100 days. So let's just see. I mean, in only 100 days after the 21st of January. So what are we? What's that going to be? The end of April or something like that? You know, we would know what he's up to, and we can just say, hey, you haven't delivered anything. We know he's a bad boy, or he might be doing. He potentially. I hope he'll be the new John F. Kennedy. That's my hope, that he could be, so that we could have a new. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm just an optimist. I can't help it.
I'm an optimist as well, and honestly, if Donald Trump, I hope he proves all the the haters wrong. So I'm hoping.
I think this is the most interesting election I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I didn't sleep a minute on the election night, and we are like whatever 5, 6, 7 hours ahead of the East Coast. But I've analyzed it so that there are different scenarios here, and the one I find most interesting is this Steve Pieczenik. Have you heard about Steve Pieczenik?
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting that he comes out and says that there is a coup and that the Clinton and Bush crime family should step down, and he's thanking the Trump family to step up to the plate and go in. And it's a non-violent coup, but now we need to, have law and order and have a good leader in America. So I'm just an optimist that there are really, truly some good people and I'm sure there are a lot of them in the CIA and the FBI and military and also among very wealthy people in America who can. So it's not only about people in the street and ordinary citizens, but also people with a lot of influence and power and political power and money and so on, that goes together and really supports a true change, a change away from this immense concentration of wealth and power that has taken place the last 25 years really, where now 62 people own more than 3.5 billion people, and we just see all our democratic rights being eroded step by step, particularly under Obama and Hillary Clinton, and all before that under Bush. Ever since September 11 in 01, we've seen all our freedom being eroded systematically.
Absolutely. Well, we can only hope, and we'll wait and see as this unfolds, but I'm definitely I'm hopefully optimistic. I know at the end of the day, it's, the good guys are eventually going to win. Does that mean that Donald Trump's on that side? Well, time will tell. I'm hoping that he backs up what he says. So
let's hope. Maybe he's a winner. He wants to win, and maybe he says, hey, that could be his legacy could be to be, the good guy. Why not? It's a possibility. They're not all psychopaths. Right. There are a couple of percent who are, but there must be. If 98% of the human race are not psychopaths, then there must also be some people in power, some people up there who really are appalled by the crimes against humanity that the previous, leadership has committed.
We shall. I can't wait to see it unfold.
Let's hope.